Hello, hello, and welcome to Women Finding Clarity. I'm your host, Pascal Cook Fernandez. I'm so glad you're here today as we're stepping into a topic that's both expansive and deeply personal: empowered abundance. When you hear the word abundance, what comes to mind? Is it money, success, a certain lifestyle? Maybe. But abundance is so much more than material wealth. It's a state of being. It's the knowing deep in your soul that you are supported, that there is more than enough, and this one can be a doozy for some of you, that you are worthy of receiving all of it. But here's the thing: abundance without empowerment can leave us chasing, doubting, and never feeling enough. And empowerment without belief in abundance can lead us to playing small, settling for what's safe instead of what's truly aligned. Empowered abundance is your sweet spot. It's the energy that says, I trust myself. I trust the universe. I am open. I am ready. I am worthy. So let me ask you, where in your life have you been blocking abundance, maybe without even realizing it until now? What stories or beliefs are you holding that say you have to hustle, you have to prove yourself, or you have to struggle to deserve more? Today's episode is an invitation to shift all of that. We're going to talk about how to embody abundance from the inside out, how to activate empowered energy within you so that what you attract is rooted in clarity, not chaos. This is about calling in love, joy, opportunities, money, health, all of it from a place of alignment, not lack. So take a moment, place your hand on your heart, and take a deep breath in and exhale. Let's tap into this truth together. The universe is abundant, and success, joy, and fulfillment, they're your birthright. So let's get to it by tapping into the confident brilliance of this evening's guest. Scarlet Stanhope, AKA the Biz Hippie, teaches coaches to conquer their finances and own their worth so they can be fully supported by the work they love. Scarlett harnessed the power of money to break free from her workaholic career path and pursue her dreams. She uses a combination of tangible money management strategies as well as a variety of coaching techniques to help her clients transform their mindset and relationship to money, allowing them to strategically achieve their goals and live their best lives. So without further ado, please help me welcome Scarlet Stanhope. Scarlet, welcome to Women Finding Clarity. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for our conversation today.
Yeah, me too. I love your story about leaving a workaholic career to pursue your own dreams. I find that to be very inspiring. And so, as we're getting started, I'm just wondering, when you decided to do that, what was the turning point that made you realize, okay, it's time to change paths here?
Yeah, there was actually a couple moments where this happened. There wasn't one huge pivot point that happened very rapidly and changed everything forever. There was multiple pivot points that happened over a long period of time that led me to this point. One of those being a very harsh rock bottom of recognizing that I was not in a good place, that I had just been going with the flow, operating from a place of should and success and who I thought I was supposed to be, and had found myself in a pretty toxic relationship, just in a overworking work environment and bringing it into every aspect of my life and really losing pieces of who I was and what I wanted to become this person who was just doing everything right and doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing. And so I had to hit a pretty hard rock bottom and recognize, wow, I don't want to live this way anymore. Before, I didn't think I had a choice, but now when it really comes down to it, when I've been on this downward spiral for quite some time, now I realize I'm the only one that can get me out of this hole that I've been digging myself into. And so that was my first moment, was making the choice of I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to live this way anymore. And then it was a slow climb of self-discovery. Who am I? What do I really want? What's important to me? And then it was, continuing on this path, continuing to take these steps and then find the breadcrumbs that ended up being laid out before me. And really, what happened was I started to say yes to the things that actually lit me up and the things that I discovered I actually enjoyed. And I kept following that path. And that led me to yoga and starting my own yoga practice. It led me to taking my first life coaching certification just out of interest and just because I thought it would be a good skill to have. And then by the time I was done with that certification, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I am meant to do. And I just kept going from there. I got my yoga teacher training, I got Reiki attuned, I started attending retreats all over the country and all over the world. And I just kept going, kept saying yes to opportunities, kept building on my skill sets. And that has really led me to where I am now.
That's a beautiful path that you just painted the picture for. And I think we've all kind of been there at one point or another in our lives of just following what we thought that we should be doing next, right? I actually, I've been married to my husband for almost 24 years now. But I got married right out of high school. And so this is actually my second marriage. And I think even though in high school we loved each other, right? We were kind of ready to break up. And then we decided, let's get married. Like, that's the next thing to do. It didn't make sense. In hindsight, it didn't make sense, right? I can look back and I can say all these things were like red flags. Don't do it, whatever. But in that time, and in our underdeveloped brains, it was just the next thing that we should do, right? Because we graduated high school. And so obviously the next logical thing was to get engaged. And I think whether you're talking about marriage or your career or um, it could even be friendships, right? Whatever it is in your life, I think that it's easy to fall into what I should be doing versus what you did of self discovery, taking the time to lean into self discovery, and then really asking yourself, what lights me up? What is it that I actually want, not what I should be doing?
Yeah, and that makes a huge difference when you start to recognize that. And it was so interesting because I didn't even realize that I was operating from a place of should or supposed to until I got out of it, right? Because I had practiced kind of shutting myself down, setting myself aside for my whole entire life. So, for me, that started as a child in school and being a perfectionist and being a type A high achiever and getting good grades and being a good student and never getting in trouble. Like I carried the weight and expectations of who I was supposed to be so much that I was a 7-year-old with migraine headaches from the stress of just being perfect and especially around authority. And so by the time I was in my young adulthood and was really starting to create my life and make big choices about who I wanted to be and the kind of life I wanted to live, I didn't even realize that I had a choice. And it blew my mind when I started to realize that I did. And especially recognize the fact that I was actually always the one in control because I felt like life was pushing me around and life was deciding for me. And then I recognized, wow, it is truly up to me, and it always has been. And in fact, I'm the one that created this current situation and created this current life, and I'm the one who has to change it.
I love that so much because this month's theme, as you know, is spring into clarity. And it really is all about finding that clarity for yourself, giving yourself permission to do that. And we don't always know that we're allowed. So just giving yourself permission to say, am I clear here? Am I following what I want to do? Or am I leading with what should I be doing? The external expectations, finding that clarity, giving yourself the space for that clarity.
Yeah, it's so important and it's so vital. And part of the work that I do with my clients is helping them bring in that clarity and that awareness, because so often we're living our lives and we're making decisions from this place of what I like to call not enoughness, right? Like, I am not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. I need to be better. I need to work harder. There's not enough for me. So I need to really push myself and succeed and be better to have enough, to be worthy, to be deserving. And it's so interesting to see the way that we take action on our lives, the way that we live our lives when we're rooted and motivated by this energy of scarcity and lack and fear and not enoughness, which is a totally different energy and motivation and creates different results than living your life from a place of abundant, from a place of enoughness, from being confident, from having self trust, from feeling safe and supported and stable, and living your life in that way.
Yeah. I think that so many of us do walk through this life with that unworthiness, that not enoughness. And part of that comes from measuring our success based on societal or familial expectation. And so, how do you help your clients define success and value for themselves?
It really starts with bringing awareness and clarity to who am I and what do I really want? And we do that by peeling away these layers of not enoughness and bringing clarity to how am I already making choices? How am I already making decisions? What is the motivation behind those decisions? And how do we peel away the pieces rooted in not enoughness and unworthiness and get to the core of who I truly am when we take all these expectations out of the picture. And instead, we say, who truly am I without the seeds of scarcity, without the scarcity stories, without the scarcity selves within us that are putting their foot on the gas and telling us to work harder and be better and do more? And what happens when I step into my abundant self and I allow myself to dream and envision what is possible and what I want? What is it that I actually desire? What is actually important to me? What do I value? And what does that look like to live that life? And this is where it gets really interesting because the work I do is centered around money. And often we have this expectation that in order to live lives we truly love, and to have everything we want, we have to have tons of money. We need to be rich. We need to be millionaires in order to be happy because where we are isn't enough. But instead, when we peel away the not enoughness and get clear on what you really want, then we can start to see, wow, I actually don't need much to be happy. There's just a few core things that are really important to me, and I can have these things and create this life that I love starting right now with what I have, and then continue to use my money to grow even more into it.
So beautiful. I feel that not only just a transformation, but also an expansiveness in that process that you guide women through. Gosh, there's so much. I feel like when we're talking about abundance, it's not only money, but money. I want to go there. You bring it up. This is really what you work with your clients on. Money brings up so many emotions like guilt, like shame, like fear. How do you help your clients process these feelings and then build healthier relationships with their finances, with their money?
Yeah, and that's such a great question because exactly what you're saying, abundance is about so much more than money. But I also love to look at the relationship with money because money is about more than just money. Money is, in fact, a reflection of your relationship with yourself, right? It's a reflection of all of your beliefs, all of your thoughts, your mindset. Everything is reflected in your money and how you use your money to create the life that you are living. And so looking at your money is a really deep internal transformation. And it's not just about, looking at your bank account and looking at numbers. It's really about transforming your relationship with yourself and developing deep self worth and self trust and stepping into your most abundant self. And the way that I help my clients do this is in two ways. One is addressing what I call the internal relationship with money. This is looking at the beliefs around money, which again are beliefs about yourself of not enoughness, not being worthy, not being deserving, not having enough. I like to look at the stories, the memories from our childhood and from our life that implanted these beliefs, implanted these identities that create our current money mindset and shape our current reality. And then I also like to look at scarcity selves. These are the parts of us, the different parts of ourselves that are living our lives rooted in scarcity, lack, and fear. These are selves that are trying to protect us and keep us safe, but in many ways are actually holding us back from living expanded, beautiful lives that we are capable of. So, addressing the internal relationship with money, and then also addressing the external, more tangible relationship with money. And that is actually learning to look at your money, manage your money, be the one in control of your finances. And it's not about like budgeting for the sake of budgeting because you don't have enough and you need to penny pinch. No, it's about being in control of the power that you have to live your life and create your life because that's what your money is. Your money is how you manifest this life that you're living every single day with every single dollar that you spend and every single financial choice that you make. And so when you learn to have an actual relationship with your money, to see your money, to look at it, to get comfortable with it, to make conscious, intentional, aligned decisions about how you want to spend that money to create the life you want to live, that's how you manifest that life. So bringing clarity and awareness to both the tangible aspects of money and also the intangible relationship with money is really how I do the deep work with my clients of healing that scarcity and not enoughness so that you can step into abundance.
Ooh, it all makes me hot because it's deep work. And when you first think about it, it just feels so surface level. Oh, I need to pay attention to my bank account. I need to balance my checkbook. But it's about so much more than just the number in the check ledger.
Yes, 100%. Because whatever your internal relationship with money is a direct reflection of whatever's actually going on in the bank account. And I love to say, too, that transforming your relationship with money is one of the deepest levels of personal growth that you can go on because I've seen it time and time again where we can heal so many areas of life and heal so and transform so many aspects of our reality. And yet, financial stress will still be weighing us down and holding us back. And I have found that it is often the weakest link. And one of the reasons why it's so potent is because In relationships, we can learn and grow a lot, right? Because the relationship is reflecting to us our triggers, our opportunities for growth. And there's a lot of healing that can come from those relationships. But with relationships, we're looking in a mirror, but the mirror also has some of their stuff going on, right? So there's some of their stuff, some of our stuff, and all the gunk in the middle. Whereas when you're healing your relationship with money, your money is a perfect mirror of yourself. It is a clear mirror. So everything that's going on with your money is 100% reflection of you. So when you do the work of healing your relationship with money, you're healing yourself, your deepest levels of fear and safety and survival with no filters and no one else to blame or project onto. It is all 100% you, and it's getting to the core of our survival and safety mechanisms, which is deep, scary, and sometimes intense.
Yeah. So that brings up that it is so deep and that core, that survival. I want to just shift a little bit for a moment because we've just been talking to women in general and, your clients. I want to move specifically to women who are 40 plus, who feel like that they're really feeling the scarcity, like I'm so far behind financially. What are some actionable, achievable steps that you could offer them to moving toward more financial freedom, toward feeling more safe in their money?
Yeah, and this is so important, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you think you're late in the game or you're putting it off because you're not late in the game, like the sooner you start this work, the better. And it's always the perfect time to start. So, some of the most important things that you can do is start to build a solid relationship with your money. And that looks like learning to look at it, see it clearly, right? Know what those numbers are telling you. Actually know how much you have, know where it's going, and see clearly what choices you're making with your money. So, getting your money on paper and building that healthy relationship with it, because that's when you get more power and control over your life. That's when you can make really conscious and intentional decisions. So, that's the first piece. And then the other piece is recognizing the emotions that come up throughout that process. Recognize when fear and doubt and lack and not enoughness comes to the table and tries to impact the way that you take action, right? And if we take action from a place of scarcity and fear, what we're doing is we're just expanding and creating more scarcity and fear. And so learning to recognize those emotions, those beliefs rooted in not enoughness, come to a regulated place, learn to heal those stories, those selves, those scarcity seeds, and make decisions and actions from a place rooted in abundance so that you can expand more of what you want and create more of what you want. One of the best examples that I like to use is, especially since I work with entrepreneurs and people who are pursuing their own businesses, a lot of them will feel very stressed about money. And then they'll go into this panic spiral and be like, oh my gosh, I need to start applying for jobs. And they'll start applying for 50 jobs online and just like start taking action from this scared place. But again, when you take action from lack, what you're doing is you're creating more lack because money and action is an expander and an amplifier. Whereas instead, I teach my clients to, okay, feel what you're feeling, notice it, allow yourself to feel this fear, the financial stress. Find safety in that. How can you look at your numbers, look at them on paper, and see how you can make it work, how you can be okay, and come back to that deep level of self trust and know that no matter what happens, you're always going to be safe. Come back into that energy of safety and trust and tap into what do you want if you were your most abundant self, if you could have anything, what feels good and feels in alignment, and then take action from that place. And that's how you will get the amplified abundant results.
You just gave so much powerful information. I was literally going to almost challenge you and say, you know, mindset is key, but so are tangible tools. And you just laid out a beautiful, tangible way to take your mind shift and really use the tool of looking at it and saying, how can I shift from scarcity, from lack, from fear, and become more empowered in my money? Where is the safety in the situation here? And that is such a powerful tool. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thank you. And it's so important. A lot of people that I work with, they have fear when it comes to looking at their money and managing their money. But what I have found is when you do it, when you get over that fear and you start to manage and track your money, you feel so empowered because suddenly your money doesn't have control over you, but now you have control over your money and therefore you have control over your life. And I've seen time and time again that 70% of my clients' money stress goes away once they start to look at their numbers, even if the financial situation hasn't changed, because now they can make choices and conscious, intentional decisions about how to move forward instead of feeling like it's outside of you and you can't do anything about it. No matter what you do, and no matter how hard you try, it never seems to be enough. Instead, you can see what is actually happening, what choices am I making, and how can I be even more intentional, conscious, and in control of how I'm creating my life with the power of my money.
So, as you were just saying all of that, what's coming up for me is, you know, it's one thing to say money is you're in a relationship with your money, right? And you want to control your money. You don't want your money to control you. And what that brought up for me is human relationship. And then it brought up the parent child relationship where I think most of us, if not all of us, can remember feeling like we don't have power over our decisions. And, well, when I get older and I can do things for myself, then this is how I'm going to do it. Right. And when we are giving the power over to the money, it's just like being a child again, where we're not in control of our own decisions. Someone else, now something else, is making those decisions for us.
Yes, exactly. Which is another reason why this work is so powerful because it's not just about feeling financially free, it's about being the one who's in control of your life. Because that's what I did at the beginning of my journey was I was surrendering my power. I was surrendering my control. I felt like a victim to life and a victim to circumstances and I felt like there was nothing I could do about it. But guess what? Even though I was surrendering that power, I was still actually the one in control, even though I was pretending like I wasn't, right? Even if you are giving money the power and money has control over your life, you're still the one who's spending the money and making the money, right? You're still the one in control, even if you don't recognize it. And that's why this work is so powerful because you're actually taking back the control that you already have. And you're recognizing all the ways in which you're the one currently creating your reality, which is good news because it means you have the power to change it.
It's very Wizard of Oz. You had the power all along, Dorothy,
Yes.
right? And we do when we are making a conscious or a subconscious choice to give someone or something else the power, that's still our choice. So if we're living in victim mentality, it's our choice to live that way. So
Yes.
why not make a more powerful choice? Take that power back. live in strength, live in the power of making our own decisions versus the choice of living in victim mentality.
Yeah. And it all comes back to that clarity and that awareness because, we're human. So we're not perfect and we have shadows and we have sticky parts of ourselves that, kind of want to keep us this way and want to keep us safe and make maybe disempowering decisions. Yeah, that's all true. And honestly, I think it's fine, right? It is all fine, but recognize that this is the case, right? And have awareness of this is what I'm creating and allow that to be a choice and a decision to say, you know what? Right now, I am going to choose fear. Right now, I am going to choose the need to survive and be in survival mode. Right now, I am going to be the disempowered, kind of lazy person for a day and let that be okay. But also recognize that that's you and that you're in control of that. And that's a decision and a choice.
So mind blowing, so simple, and yet so powerful that it's okay. And like you said, if you want to be lazy for the day, if you want to not make big decisions for the day, that's okay. But you're in control. You're deciding to release the control. Your control is letting go. I'll tell you, this is completely different. And yet I feel like it is fitting. And so I'm going to share it. There was a time where my boys would argue back and forth, and it never stopped. As soon as one would say something, the other one would have a rebuttal, and it just never stopped. And so I said to them one day, I'm like, it's like you have a rope and you're playing tug of war. One person pulls, so the other person pulls back. And how, like, no one is winning. So, how do you win? You let go of the rope, right? And so I love this because you're saying that the power is yours to make the decision to let go of the rope, if only temporarily. And that's okay because you're not putting that judgment on yourself. You're not continuing the fight against yourself.
Yes, exactly. Right. Instead, it all gets to be for you and it all gets to be part of the life that you're creating. And you know what? The most abundant lives are not perfect ones, right? They are expanded. They have depth. They have color. They have richness, right? Isn't that interesting? The word rich, which we think of money, but rich is like it's a dense chocolate cake. It's got like density to it. It's rich. And so, something that I teach my clients how to do is expand their capacity to experience life. And that means going through the negative emotions, going through the hard, going through really deep fear, taking really big leaps of faith and really big risks on themselves and not knowing if it's going to work out, not knowing how it's going to pan out, and being able to ride through that depth and experience the abundance of that and know that there's a high on the other side of every low and be able to experience fully all that life has to offer, the emotional richness, the emotional experience of this life in all directions. And when you do that, that's when you truly feel abundant. And so, really, it comes down to how can you find safety, financial safety, but also internal safety in every situation that life could possibly throw your way. And once you find that, that's when you will truly feel abundant.
Mm. So, one thing that I've talked a lot about is this idea of true happiness, right? Because happy is an emotion. And we think that if we're not happy every day, every moment of every day of our lives, then something's wrong. And true happiness for me is no matter what's going on in the world all around you, all is still right with your soul, right? And so I love that you brought up this idea of richness in a chocolate cake. A chocolate cake is so rich. And when a chocolate cake is so rich, we don't need a lot of it, do we, to have an abundance, to have it fill us up. And so we think we have to have a lot of money to be filled up. But if we're thinking of it and relating to it in terms of that rich chocolate cake, how much do we really need to be filled up to have that true happiness? It's not a lot. It's just finding the clarity in which cake do I want to spend my time and my calories eating.
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the challenges that I often see in this line of work is this idea of needing more and more and more. And when I get more money, then I'll be happy. And then when I get more money, then I'll finally feel good. And when I get more money, then my life will be better. But that's often not the case. I've seen it time and time again that people who have this fear and feeling of not enoughness, when they get more money, they just feel more of that feeling. It really doesn't go away, which is why it's so important to find the feeling of happiness and abundance right now in the present so that you can enjoy your life now, no matter how much money that you have, so that as you do manifest more money, it just contributes to more of the abundance that you already have. It just expands the joy and the happiness that you already have because money's an expander. Whatever you currently have, you're just going to get more of it with money. And then you can use your money to say, what is most important to me? What do I want to choose? What do I want my life to look like? And how can I use the money that I have now to make that a reality now? Because it doesn't have to be off in the future when you have more money or off in the future when you have more time or more energy. Like, how can I choose my truly best life starting right now, even in small ways?
So powerful. I keep using that word powerful, but the work that you are doing is so transformative. And if the answer was more money, then the people who win the big lottery, the majority of them go completely broke again. And it's because the answer isn't more money, it's more clarity, it's more richness in your life, not richness in your bank account.
Right.
So I'm wondering then, how do you work with clients? How can a client start working with you? What does that look like?
Yeah, so my signature program is called Empowered Abundance. And what it is a 6-month transformation of your relationship with money inside and out. And so I help my clients transform their internal relationship with money by healing the seeds of scarcity and building a deep self worth and self trust, and also learning to manage, track, and wield the power of your money to create the vision of your most abundant life. So it's a powerful transformation where we're learning to actually manage and track your money and use your money strategically to live your vision, and also how to make your vision real now by becoming your most abundant self. And I have group cohorts of empowered abundance throughout the year. It's such a powerful transformation. I've helped clients in multiple countries all over the world in multiple career paths. And no matter where you are, what your financial situation is, where you're located in the world, like this work is powerful and transforms your whole entire life because your money impacts every area of your life. And my clients leave feeling more free, more abundant, and less stressed and scarce and repressed. And instead, they are recognizing how they are already living their most thriving and abundant lives starting right now.
Mm. I love that it's a 6 month program and it's not, 3 weeks or 4 weeks, or because it takes time. This is a transformation. It takes time when over the course of our conversation, it can feel overwhelming to say, oh, and you need to look at this and you need to do that. And you need to untangle this and you need to find clarity in that. It's a lot. And so the fact that you are holding their hand for 6 months to walk through this transformative journey, it just feels so supportive. And I think that's what we need almost that safety net to be courageous enough to take a look at it sometimes.
Absolutely, because money can impact every single area of your life. I bet most people listening to this episode can think of the ways in which money is impacting areas of your life right now, right? Like it holds people back from traveling, it holds people back from saying yes to opportunities that lights them up. It keeps us in careers and jobs that are unfulfilling because we need the money. It prevents us from getting married because we can't afford a wedding. It prevents us from having kids because we can't afford the kids, right? And so that's all examples of money being in control of your life instead of being in control of your money. So once you do this work, not only does it heal your relationship with money, it ripples out to every area of your life so that you can truly thrive and live your best life starting right now.
So, starting right now, do you have anything that you'd like to offer listeners so they can, excuse me, maybe start to develop a relationship with you and develop a relationship with their money?
Absolutely. So the best thing that you can do is actually book a free abundance activation session with me. If anything that we talked about today really sparked you and you're feeling the call to do this deep work, and abundance activation is the perfect place to start because it's a free 30-minute deep dive session with me where we're going to bring awareness to your current relationship with money, the scarcity, the lack, the not enoughness that has been currently impacting you. We're going to get clarity on your vision and where you want to go. And then we're going to build a blueprint and a roadmap to help you get there. And then, if you want to talk more about continuing this work and working together, we can explore what that looks like as well so that I can support you on the full transformation. Trust me, your future self will thank you for doing this work. And so you can book your free abundance activation session with me on my website, thebizhippie.com/activate.
Love that. And that link is in show notes for easy access because why don't we want to have abundance activated in our lives right away, right? Scarlett, thank you so much for being here. What an empowering conversation. So much clarity into every facet of our lives. And I hope that everyone takes you up at a minimum of, accepting your offer for a free abundance activation.
Thank you so much for having me today. It was so great to have this conversation with you. And, I'm here to spread the message of abundance out into the world. So thank you all for listening.
Scarlett is a whole vibe, and I love her energy. Here are three highlights from our conversation. First, by shifting focus from external expectations to internal clarity, we can lead lives that truly reflect our desires and values. Next, developing a healthy relationship with money involves more than just numbers. It's about understanding and addressing deep seated beliefs and emotions surrounding financial security and self worth. And finally, adopting an abundant mindset over scarcity can significantly impact every part of your life, helping you to manifest your desired reality. So, how can you use my conversation with Scarlett to start building a more abundant mindset moving forward? As always, thank you for spending this time with me. And remember, life doesn't come with a roadmap, so let women finding clarity be your compass, where clarity, confidence, and joy are always within reach. Good night.